I Am Malala, the girl who stood up for education and was shot by the Taliban, by Malala Yousafzai, a First Chapter Friday read aloud video with the Word Nerd. Today, as you listen, play along. Watch for the story quote that will appear on screen word by word. Write it down and then follow the instructions given to you by your teacher. Hi, my name's Amanda Zieba. Welcome to my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd, and another First Chapter Friday video. Now, today I'm going to do something that I have not done very often on this channel at all. In fact, before I recorded this video, I went to the First Chapter Friday playlist and I looked through all 140 titles that I've added up until this point, and I have only done this thing that I'm going to do today 5 times in the past. Any ideas what that thing might be? I'll listen. I'll wait. Go ahead. Guess. The thing that I'm going to do today is I'm going to read you a nonfiction book. Most of the books that I read for you on this channel are fiction, meaning they're fake, they're made up stories, but sometimes I will share with you a nonfiction story, and that is what this one is. It's I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai, and Yousafzai, I looked it up, that's how you say it, and this story is incredible for so many reasons, but basically, it's the most extraordinary because it's true. Everything in this story happened. And because of everything in this story that happened, Malala is the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner. She won the prize when she was only 17 because her actions had this amazing ripple effect and impacted the world in amazing ways. I'm going to read you the inside jacket blurb so that you know a little bit what this story is about. And then I'm actually going to read you the prologue, the little bit that comes before chapter 1, because it's going to set the scene for this amazing, very, very true story. When the Taliban took control of the Swat Valley in Pakistan, one girl spoke out. Malala Yousafzai refused to be silenced and fought for her right to an education. On Tuesday, October 9th, 2012, when she was 15, she almost paid the ultimate price. She was shot in the head at point-blank range while riding the bus home from school, and very few expected her to survive. Instead, Malala's miraculous recovery has taken her on an extraordinary journey from a remote valley in northern Pakistan to the halls of the United Nations in New York. At 16, she's become a global symbol of peaceful protest and the youngest nominee ever for the Nobel Peace Prize, and now we know, in fact, that she did win it. I Am Malala is the remarkable tale of a family uprooted by global terrorism, of the fight for girls' education, of a father who himself a school owner championed and encouraged his daughter to write and attend school, and of brave parents who have fierce love for their daughter in a society that prizes sons. I Am Malala will make you believe in the power of one person's voice to inspire change in the world. And if for no other reason you read this book than that, it's worth it. All right, let's dive in. In this book, there's lots of other fabulous features, including maps to help you understand where the story is taking place. So know that there are going to be aids to help you along the way as you understand the story. The prologue comes before chapter 1. It means like the preview, the pre-setting, and it is called The Day My World Changed. I come from a country that was created at midnight. When I almost died, it was just after midday. 1 year ago, I left my home for school and never returned. I was shot by a Taliban bullet and was flown out of Pakistan unconscious. Some people say I will never return home, but I believe firmly in my heart that I will. To be torn from the country that you love is not something to wish on anyone. Now, every morning when I open my eyes, I long to see my old room full of my things, my clothes all over the floor, and my school prizes on the shelves. Instead, I'm in a country which is 5 hours behind my beloved homeland Pakistan and my home in the Swat Valley. But my country is centuries behind this one. Here there is any convenience you can imagine. Water running from every tap, hot or as cold as you wish. Lights at the flick of a switch day and night. No need for oil lamps, ovens to cook on that don't need anyone to fetch gas cylinders from the bazaar. Here everything is so modern one can even find food readily cooked in packets. When I stand in front of my window and look out, I see tall buildings full of roads, full of vehicles moving in orderly lines, neat green hedges and lawns, and tidy pavements to walk on. I close my eyes, and for a moment I am back in my valley. The high snow-topped mountains, green waving fields, and fresh blue rivers. and my heart smiles when it looks at the people of SWAT. My mind transports me back to my school, and there I am reunited with my friends and teachers. I meet my best friend, Maniba, and we sit together talking and joking as if I have never left. Then I remember I'm in Birmingham, England. The day when everything changed was Tuesday, October 9th, 2012. It wasn't the best of days to start with, as it was the middle of school exam, though as a bookish girl I didn't mind them as much as some of my classmates. That morning we arrived in the narrow mud lane of Hijaj Baba Road in our usual procession of brightly painted rickshaws, sputtering diesel fumes, each one crammed with 5 or 6 girls. Since the time of the Taliban, our school has had no sign, and the ornamented brass door and a white wall across from the woodcarter's yard gives no hint as to what lies beyond. For us girls, that doorway was like a magical entrance to our own special world. As we skipped through, we cast off our headscarves like winds puffing away clouds to make way for the sun, then ran helter-skelter up the steps. At the top of the steps was an open courtyard with doors to all the classrooms. We dumped our backpacks in our rooms and then gathered for morning assembly under the sky, our backs to the mountains as we stood at attention. One girl commanded, "Hassan Bash," or "Stand at ease," and we clicked our heels and responded, "Allah." Then she said, "Hushiyar," or "Attention," and we clicked our heels again and said, "Allah." The school was founded by my father before I was born, and on the wall above Kushal School was painted proudly in red and white letters. We went to school 6 mornings a week, and as I was 15 years old, in year 9, my classes were spent chanting chemical equations or studying Urdu grammar, writing stories in English with morals like haste makes waste, or drawing diagrams of blood circulation. Most of my classmates wanted to be doctors. It's hard to imagine that anyone would see that as a threat. Yet outside the door to the school lay not only the noise and craziness of Mingora, the main city of Swat, but also those like the Taliban, who think girls should not go to school. That morning had begun like any other, though a little later than usual. It was exam time, so school started at 9 instead of at 8, which was good, as I don't like getting up, and can sleep through the crows and cocks of the prayer calls of the muezzin. First, my father would try to rouse me. "Time to get up, Johnny Mun," he would say. This means soulmate in Persian. And he always called me that at the start of the day. "A few more minutes, Abba, please," I would beg, then burrow deeper into the quilt. Then my mother would come. Pisho, she would call, and this means cat, her nickname for me. At this point, I'd realize the time and shout, "Babi, I'm late." In our culture, every man is your brother and every woman your sister. That's how we think of each other. When my father first brought his wife to school, all the teachers referred to her as my brother's wife, or Bobby. And that's how it stayed from then on. We all call her Bobby now. I slept in the long room at the front of our house, and the only furniture was a bed and a cabinet which I had bought with some of the money I'd been given as an award for campaigning for peace in our valley and for the right for girls to go to school. On some shelves were all the gold-colored plastic cups and trophies I had won for coming first in my class. Only twice had I not come in top, both times when I was beaten by my class rival, Malka Inur. I was determined that it would not happen again. The school was not far from my home, and I used to walk, but since the start of last year I had begun going with the other girls by bus. It was a journey of just 5 minutes along the stinky stream past the giant billboard for Dr. Human's Hair Transplant Institute, where we joked that one of our bald male teachers must have gone when he suddenly started to sprout hair. I liked the bus because I didn't get as sweaty as when I walked, and I could chat with my friends and gossip with Usman Ali, the driver, who we called Bashjan, or brother. He made us all laugh with his crazy stories. I'd started taking the bus because my mother was scared of me walking on my own. We had been getting threats all year. Some were in the newspapers, some were notes or messages passed on by people. My mother was worried about me, but the Taliban had never come for a girl, and I was more concerned they would target my father, as he was always speaking out against them. His close friend and fellow campaigner Zahid Khan had been shot in the face in August on his way to the prayers, and I knew everyone was telling my father, "Take care, or you'll be next." Our street could not be reached by car, so coming home I would get off the bus on the road below by the stream and go through the barred iron gate and up a flight of steps. I thought if anyone attacked me, it would be on those steps. Like my father, I've always been a daydreamer, and sometimes in lessons my mind would drift, and I'd imagine that on the way home a terrorist might jump out and shoot me on those steps. I wondered what I would do. Maybe I'd take off my shoes and hit him, but then I'd think if I did, there would be no difference between me and a terrorist. It would be better to plead, okay, shoot me first, but listen to me. What you're doing is wrong. I'm not against you personally. I just want every girl to go to school. I wasn't scared, but I had started making sure the gate was locked at night and asking God what happens when you die. I told my best friend Maniba everything. We lived on the same street when we were little and had been friends since primary school, and we shared everything. Justin Bieber songs and Twilight movies and the best face lightening creams. Her dream was to be a fashion designer, although she knew her family would never agree to it. So she told everyone she wanted to be a doctor. It's hard for girls in our society to be anything other than teachers or doctors, if they can work at all. I was different. I never hid my desire when I changed from wanting to be a doctor to wanting to be an inventor or a politician. Muniba always knew if something was wrong. Don't worry, I told her. The Taliban have never come for one small girl. When our bus was called, we ran down the steps. The other girls all covered their heads before emerging from the door and climbing up into the back. The bus was actually what we call a Dina, a white Toyota Town Ace truck with 3 parallel benches, one along either side and one down the middle. It was cramped with 20 girls and 3 teachers. I was sitting on the left between Moniba and a girl from the year below called Shazia Razman, holding our exam folders to our chests and our school bags under our feet. After all that, it's a bit hazy. I remember that inside the Dina was hot and sticky. The cooler days were late in coming, and only the faraway mountains in the Hindu Kush had started frosting with snow. The back where we sat had no windows, just thick plastic sheeting at the sides which flapped and was too yellowed and dusty to see through. All we could see was a little stamp of open sky out the back and glimpses of the sun. At that time of day, a yellow orb floating in the dust that had steamed over everything. I remember that the bus turned right off the main road at the army checkpoint, as always, and rounded the corner past the deserted cricket ground. I don't remember any more. In my dreams about the shooting, my father is also in the bus, and he is shot with me. And then there are men everywhere, and I am searching for my father. In reality, what happened is that we suddenly stopped. On our left was the tomb of Sher Muhammad Khan, the finance minister of the first ruler of Swat, all overgrown with grass. And on our right was the snack factory. We must have been less than 200 meters from the checkpoint. We couldn't see in front, but a young bearded man in a light-colored clothes had stepped into the road and waved the van down. "Is this the Kushal school bus?" he asked our driver. Usman Vazjan thought this was a stupid question, as the name was clearly printed on the side. "Yes," he said. "I need some information about the children," said the man. "You should go to the office," Usman Vazjan said. As he was speaking, another young man in white approached the back of the van. "Look, it's one of those journalists coming to ask for an interview," said Moniba. Since I'd started speaking at events with my father to campaign for girls' education and against those like the Taliban who want to hide us away, journalists often came, even foreigners, though not like this in the middle of the road. The man was wearing a peaked cap and looked like a college student. He swung himself onto the tailboard at the back and leaned right over us. "Who is Malala?" he demanded. No one said anything, but several of the girls looked at me. I was the only girl with my face not covered. That's when he lifted up a black pistol. I later learned it was a Colt .45. Some of the girls screamed. Muniba tells me I squeezed her hand. My friends say he fired 3 shots, one after another. The first went through my left eye socket and out under my left shoulder. I slumped forward onto Muniba, blood coming from my left ear. So the other 2 bullets hit girls next to me. One bullet went into Shazia's left hand. The third went through her left shoulder and into the upper right arm of Kanat Riaz. My friends later told me the gunman's hand was shaking when he fired. By the time we got to the hospital, my long hair and Muniba's lap were full of blood. Who is Malala? I am Malala, and this is my story. If you want to find out what happens next to Malala and all of the things that happen to her after that, you have to pick up a copy of this incredible story and read it. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd. I hope you'll be back here again for another First Chapter Friday. Happy reading! To continue reading I Am Malala, pick up a copy from your school library, purchase one from your favorite local indie bookstore, or if you can't find it in those places, grab it via the link down in the description box. Then be sure to check out the rest of the First Chapter Friday playlist. I have over 140 middle grade and young adult read aloud videos waiting there for you. Tons of different genres and formats are all available. I know you'll be able to find something you like. This week's mystery quote says, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world." Thanks so much for visiting my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd. I hope you'll stop again and see me for another First Chapter Friday video, brain break, teaching tip, or more great content. You can also find more things from me at these great places online.